Actually, Robert, who's a viewer or subscriber, is close to me here in Grand Rapids in Zone 6A. And he's got a blue spruce and a couple of junipers, and he was wondering if we could do a winter prep video and talk about what you need to do to protect trees for the winter. It's a little breezy out here today, but it's nice. It's 50 degrees. I don't even need gloves. Very rare for Michigan, at least Zone 6A here, for us to have such a mild day. And it's been a mild start to winter in general too, right? Not a lot of precipitation. We have a ½ inch so far of snow. We normally by this time expect to have 20 inches. So this is a historical low for us, precipitation and snow accumulation so far in Grand Rapids. So that means with the winter, with the daytime temps being a little bit warmer, I've been able to keep my hose spigot on, and I've been able to water the trees still when those daytime highs are between 40 and 60 degrees. A mild start to winter with not a lot of precipitation, sure, you can still water your trees a little bit, but keep in mind that they're in dormancy, so they do not require near as much moisture. But let's talk a little bit about what you ought to do to protect trees. Most of my trees are outside for the winter, right? 95%. I've got 5% that are indoors. I've got some Japanese black pines that I'm protecting, and some trident maples when in containers I want to protect inside an unheated garage. And then a couple tropicals, and that's about it. The rest are zoned, quote unquote, for Michigan. I know they'll survive with some protection through winter, so it's not a concern for me. I do want to note that there's a difference between when a tree's growing in the ground and growing in a container, right? Let's talk about Japanese maples real quick. Japanese maples, I think, are zoned for about zone 5, so they should be good, right? Well, that's for in the ground. So I've got a couple planted in my yard, never have had a problem. I know people who have had them for 40 years, never have had a Japanese maple die, but that's when it's in the ground, right? It's more insulated, the root ball is down in the ground, which is warmer and pushing up some heat to give it an advantage over the actual air temperature, and it's more protected. When we get a Japanese maple into a container of any kind, Anderson flat, normal bonsai pot, we're exposing that root system a lot more, right? It's above ground, it's at risk. So for a tree like a Japanese maple that is just one zone or so away from not being hardy, we're in 6A, we want to take a little extra care. And so what I do is just make sure that they're huddled together, protected from wind, and mulched up to about their first branch, and I haven't lost one yet. So that's a good option for a lot of your deciduous. Again, always check what your zone is in your area, because results may vary. And as I mentioned, I was able to water these trees a little bit since it's been so mild. Normally we don't have to worry about that, and normally we don't have the chance to do that. And that snow melt and natural precipitation throughout the winter, with them needing less, covers them no problem. I haven't lost a tree to just leaving it outside for winter actually yet. Cross our fingers for this winter, because we've got a couple more. So anyway, Robert with his blue spruce, right? I've got a couple of spruce in here actually, if you can tell, mulched up for the winter and set them on the ground. When we set a container on the ground, it gives us at least 3 to 5 degrees from the heat from the earth. So we want to have that in contact with the earth, not on a cement slab or suspended in the air. And then when we mulch around it, it also insulates and maybe gives us another 5 degrees. So if you have a tree that's only hardy, like this Hinoki cypress, maybe down to 15 degrees, well, if it gets down to 10 degrees, it's got a couple of degrees insulation from the mulch and insulation from the ground itself. So anyway, we'll take a couple of shots here and walk you around the garden to take a look at the different areas we have, but that's the concept. Boards put in place so that they're protected and huddled together here. If we zoom in, you see that most trees are mulched up about a foot or so, extra boards and the raised beds that provide that natural wind protection over winter as well. The other main area here, as we pan to the right, you see a couple more conifers, ones that need some direct sun over winter. Our dawn redwoods in there. You see the Thuja occidentalis down in the bottom left right now. And then finally the big larch we collected up top. Anywhere you see this hardware cloth, by the way, is seeds set for next year. Acer palmatum, I've got larch. Excited to see those pop, but that's about the gist of it. All right, everybody, hopefully that made some sense for you when it comes to protecting your trees. Again, wind, protect from desiccation, mulch it up, make sure that there's some moisture retention and they're huddled together, and then in contact with the ground is another important piece. And you should have no problems getting your trees through winter. So another shout out to Robert for giving me the idea. Happy holidays to everyone. I gotta go wrap some Christmas presents. Be well.